Do you want to know what I think is fascinating? Is that most of us spend more time planning our next vacation than we do taking care of our own minds. So what I see with people is we're scrolling through our phones the moment we wake up, and we're saying yes to things we don't actually want to do. And then we wonder why we're feeling drained by the end of the day. But here's the thing, real self-care isn't about bubble baths and face masks. Don't get me wrong, those are nice, but they're not going to change your life. True self-care is actually about building habits that make you strong from the inside out. So habits that help you love yourself so deeply that nothing on the outside can shake you. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about today. So I'm going to share with you 8 powerful self-care habits that are going to teach you how to truly take care of yourself. Not just your body, but your mind and your spirit. I'm going to give you 4 now and 4 in the next episode. So these aren't trendy wellness tips that'll be gone next month. These are timeless principles that have helped so many people navigate the hardest moments of our lives, and they're tools that I use for myself. So by the end of both of these episodes, you're going to have a toolkit of practices that are going to help you build unshakable inner strength. You'll know how to protect your peace and guard your energy and show up for yourself in a way that actually matters. But here's the catch, and I want to be honest with you about this. These habits aren't always easy because they require some reflection, some honesty, and some persistence. But that's exactly why they work. The easy stuff brings shallow results. The challenging stuff, that's what transforms you. Now, before we dive in, I want you to really take a moment, take a breath, and really bring yourself into a place of self-respect, because that's where we're going, all right? Into this place where we respect ourselves. Okay, let's begin. Habit number 8, we're going to work our way down, all right? Start your day with intention. So every single day begins with a choice, and most people lose that choice before they even get out of bed. They wake up, they grab their phone, and within seconds, their mind has literally been hijacked. You get messages and notifications and news cycles, all this chaos that doesn't even belong to you. And often before you've even taken your first conscious breath, your inner state has already been handed over to the outside world. But what if you could start differently? Imagine each day beginning it by reclaiming your mind, by setting your intentions before the world has a chance to set them for you. So that's what this first habit's all about, the discipline of morning reflection. Now, I'm not talking about adding another task to your already overwhelming routine. I'm talking about giving yourself the gift of clarity before you step into the chaos of life. So here's what it looks like. Instead of reaching for your phone, you sit quietly for just a few minutes. You breathe. You ask yourself a few simple questions like, what's in my control today? What's not in my control? How do I want to show up today? So these aren't philosophical luxuries. They're really tools of clarity. Because when you start your day with intention, you're building this fortress of calm within yourself a little bit before you step into the battlefield of life. So I want you to think about your typical mornings. How often are you waking up already anxious about tasks and obligations? You're rushing, you're stressed, you're playing catch up before the day's even started. That's how most people live. They are literally trapped in reaction rather than action. So morning reflection gives you a way out. And science backs this up, by the way. You know, all of the research shows that how you begin your day sets the tone for everything that follows. So if your morning starts in distraction and in stress, you're going to carry that with you. But if it begins with clarity and deliberate intention, you're far more likely to stay centered when difficulties arise. This is why I encourage everybody to do their 10-minute mind practice first thing in the morning, because it sets the tone for the day, all right? So make sure you're doing that 10-minute meditation every day. What a game changer it is. But I want to give you another layer to this practice, which is gratitude. That's one of the first things we learn in the happiness baseline. Every morning, this is a reminder that you've been given another chance to live, to learn, to grow. And when you reflect in the morning, don't just prepare for challenges, like do your gratitudes, okay? Gratitude literally, scientifically is proven to transform your entire perspective. Because what happens is that instead of seeing burdens, you start seeing opportunities. Instead of resenting the obstacles that happen during the day, you start to embrace them as teachers. And here's the beautiful part. It doesn't need to take long. Just a few minutes of morning reflection can change everything. But what matters is consistency. So there's going to be mornings when you're going to forget, when you're rushed, when you fall back into distraction, and that's okay. Don't beat yourself up. Just return to the practice. Each morning is a new chance to begin again, all right? So this is the 8th habit. Start your day with intention. It's not glamorous, it's not always easy, but it's powerful beyond measure. So begin with it, and you'll transform not only your mornings, but your entire life. Let's go to habit number 7. Oh, there's a good one, because this is one a lot of you struggle with. Learning to say no. So I want to ask you something. I want you to think about the last week. And I want you to think about how many times you said yes to something that you didn't really want to. So how many times you agreed to a request because you didn't want it to be awkward, or you took on a task that actually wasn't yours to carry, or you went to an event that drained your energy. So this is one of the things that I saw during COVID, is that so many people were relieved. They didn't have this battle anymore of saying yes to a bunch of things that they didn't want to do. I heard this consistently from people. It was really fascinating. Suddenly COVID gave them the ability to say no. And I know for a lot of people, myself included, I got a lot of clarity on what I wanted to say yes to. So if you're nodding right now, you're not alone. One of the biggest illusions of our modern life is this belief that we can do it all. We can please everybody, and we can still have time to nurture ourselves. But I want you to understand something really important. Your time and your energy are your most precious resources. And if you waste them on trivial things, you're betraying yourself. So think about it. Every hour you spend on meaningless distractions, or every yes you give to a person who drains you, or every commitment that you accept because you feel afraid or you feel guilty, these are fragments of your life that are slipping away. You know, one of the things that I see is that most people guard their money a lot more carefully than they guard their time. That, you know, we'd all be furious if someone stole money from our wallet, but we let anyone steal our hours. So real self-care requires courage, because you have to have the courage to say no, not from selfishness, but from wisdom. So what does that look like in a practical sense? The first thing is you need to know your priorities. So if your goal is peace and wisdom and growth, then you have to be willing to turn away from distractions, even if people criticize you for it. So to say no is really to disappoint other people in order to remain true to yourself. So the second thing for you to understand is every yes is also a no to something else. So when you say yes to an event that you don't care about, you're saying no to rest, to meaningful work, to time with people who truly matter. I want to give you an example. Your work obligations, all right? When I'm working with people, I see so many people who drown because they can't refuse tasks that aren't theirs to carry. They fear saying no to their boss or to their colleague. But here's the question you need to ask. What's actually in my control? your time, your energy, your effort. These are yours. And if you give them away without wisdom, you're responsible for losing all that time. Now, I want to be clear. This doesn't mean that I want you to become selfish or indifferent, but I want you to choose wisely how you engage with the world, because you can't truly care for other people if you've abandoned yourself. So service has to come from strength, not from exhaustion. So how do you practice this habit? I want you to start with awareness. So notice where your time goes. I need you to know the monkeys are being very loud if you can hear them today. I want you to track how many hours you spend on your phone. All right, that's a really good one. Get an app, see how many hours do I spend on my phone. I want you to see how many hours you spend on conversations that don't add any value to your life, or how much time you're spending on commitments you don't want to do. Ask yourself, why have you agreed to do these things? Was it a fear of rejection? Was it a desire to be liked? So once you start to see these patterns, you're going to understand that saying no isn't just about time, it's about identity. Okay? That was the biggest thing I learned about this, because I was a person that said yes to everything. So every time I learned that I was saying yes to something meaningless, I was betraying my values. But every time you say no with wisdom, you're strengthening your character. All right, the second thing I found in learning to say no is you've got to have courage. Saying no is uncomfortable. You might disappoint people. But here's what I've learned. True greatness isn't measured by how many tasks you complete. It's measured by how well you live according to your values. All right? Imagine this. What if you reclaimed all those hours you've wasted on gossip and shallow entertainment or unnecessary obligations? What could you do with all that time? What could you do with all that energy? You could invest it in study, reflection, meaningful relationships, and real growth. You could redirect it towards becoming the person you actually want to be. So saying no isn't about deprivation. It's about liberation. So at the deepest level, this habit is an act of love. So to guard your time is to declare that your life has value. To protect your energy is to say that your soul deserves peace. So begin today. Reflect on where your time's been wasted, where your yes has betrayed you. And then with courage and clarity, start practicing the art of no. Don't say it with anger or arrogance, but say it with a calm dignity. Say no because you love yourself enough to live with purpose. Say no because your time's sacred. So this is the seventh habit. Guard your time and your energy. And in doing so, you're going to discover that self-love isn't indulgence. It's discipline. It's not weakness. It's strength. Okay, let's go to habit number 6. I want you to embrace discomfort on purpose. I know this is going to sound a little strange at first, but stay with me. So most people live today in pursuit of comfort. I don't know, we want soft beds and convenient food and instant entertainment. We're addicted to comfort. And our modern lives are built on the promise that everything should be easy and effortless. But here's the paradox. The easier life becomes, the weaker we feel, the more anxiety we have, because our resilience diminishes. And even small inconveniences feel like disasters. Why is that? Because human beings aren't designed to thrive in constant comfort. That's the truth. That's why I live here in Costa Rica. There are real levels of discomfort here. And I know from traveling around the world that I thrive when I'm in a place where there is discomfort because it keeps my resilience high. All right, so true self-care actually requires us to practice voluntary discomfort. I want you to deliberately step into difficulty so you can build your strength and your courage and your resilience. Now, before you think I'm telling you to punish yourself, I'm not. This isn't about unnecessary suffering. It's about building the muscles of resilience so that when pain arrives, you're not destroyed by it. I mean, think about it this way. If you want to be physically strong, you lift weights, you put stress on your muscles, and they grow stronger. The mind works the exact same way. So if you can have small doses of discomfort, it builds in a fortitude. I teach this also on the Happiness Baseline. Our last week, I get people to do this in practice. What does it look like? I don't know. Skip a meal to remind yourself that you're not going to die if you're hungry. Or take a cold shower and learn you can breathe through that discomfort. Or walk somewhere instead of driving. Or maybe sleep on a harder surface for a night. You should see some of the beds I've slept on in India. Or maybe sit in silence for 10, 15 minutes without reaching for entertainment. I want you to think of each act of voluntary discomfort a little bit like lifting a weight for your soul. So it's strengthening your willpower, it's strengthening your discipline, it's strengthening your ability to endure. And most importantly, it's teaching you that you don't need external comforts to be whole. And modern psychology actually confirms this. All right? There's this idea called hormesis. This is an idea that small doses of stress actually makes you stronger. This is how exercise works. This is how cold exposure works. This is how fasting works. So your nervous system learns that discomfort isn't danger. It learns that challenge isn't a catastrophe. But voluntary discomfort isn't just physical, it's also mental and emotional. So it can mean having a difficult conversation instead of avoiding it, or sitting with your thoughts without distraction, or facing your fears directly. Don't numb them with pleasure. So each of these practices strips away these illusions and teaches you to face reality with courage. And here's something beautiful that happens when you practice this. You stop taking comfort for granted. So a warm bed feels like a gift, and a meal tastes like a feast, and simple pleasures shine more brightly. I don't know, discomfort teaches you gratitude. But let me be clear about something. This has got to be practiced with wisdom. So the goal isn't to harm yourself or become obsessed with suffering. It's to train yourself. So it's a tool, not an obsession. So I want you to think about it this way. You're giving a gift to your future self, the gift of resilience. So the preparation that ensures you won't collapse when the storms arrive, this is it, all right? Imagine two people. One lives in constant comfort. They avoid every kind of hardship. The other practices voluntary discomfort regularly. When something big hits, illness, loss, betrayal, or some kind of natural disaster, which one is going to handle it? Which one's going to crumble? The answer's obvious, all right? The one who's trained is going to. The one who's avoided is going to have trouble with it. So this is the sixth practice, practicing voluntary discomfort. So build strength through challenge. Embrace discomfort willingly. You build a soul that's unshakable if you do, and that is the truest form of self-care. So I want to let you know that I've created something specifically for you, a free happiness quiz. This is a science-backed assessment that helps you identify exactly where you are in your journey and what specific areas of your life need the most attention right now so you can be happier. Just takes a few minutes. At the end, you'll get a personalized insight about your current state of well-being and really practical steps you can help to improve it. You're going to find the link in the description. I encourage you to take it, especially as you're learning these habits. So clearly I had a lot to say about this, more than I realized once I started talking. So in the next episode, we're going to do the next habits. I hope this has been helpful. I hope it's given you a lot to think about. As always, be kind, take care, go gently in the world.